A stunning upset today in New York City's mayoral primary, contradicting some long-held ideas about how you run a successful campaign. Democratic socialist Zohran Mamdani went from 0% in the polls just 8 months ago to being poised to win the Democratic primary over former Governor Andrew Cuomo, who conceded last night. Mamdani didn't have name recognition. He didn't have major endorsements or super PAC money. But he did lead a relentless digital-heavy campaign using platforms like Instagram and TikTok to generate buzz and grassroots energy.
My name's Zohran Mamdani, and I'm running for mayor of New York City.
Our campaign has just been endorsed by leaders we deserve.
We're really excited to support the campaign here to help make New York City affordable.
I'm about to say something to you you've never heard a politician say. Please stop sending us money. We have just begun our walk through the entirety of Manhattan because New Yorkers deserve a mayor that they can see, they can hear, they can even yell at.
Joining me now is NBC's Sahil Kapoor on the Hill. Amanda Litman is co-founder and president of Run for Something and a former advisor to the Clinton campaign, as well as author of When We're in Charge, the Next Generation's Guide to Leadership. So, Amanda, should and realistically could this change the way future campaigns will operate?
I think it both should and could and will. I think Zohran Mamdani's campaign modeled a new way of showing up for elected leaders and for candidates, being authentic, genuine, values-driven. It's not just style, it's also substance. He knew who he is, he knows who he is, and he knows what he needs to communicate. And he was everywhere. He was online. He was in real life. He had volunteers knocking more than 1.5 million doors across the city. He was omnipresent. He made it hard for people to ignore. His message was clear. It is a model for campaigns everywhere.
You know, it was interesting. Some of us were remembering that when AOC staged an upset, she actually, after the campaign, showed her shoes, which were worn through on the bottom. It's just so fascinating to me because you have this combination of old school, right, which is glad handing and knocking on doors and going out and meeting the people, but this new social media thing and talking to people where they live. So for him, that was New York's affordability crisis. Is there something in that messaging, even though it's very New York centric, that can work on a national level?
You know, Zohran did something so smart, which is he made it about why voters should want him to win, not why he wants to win. I think that's a sign of a good leader. It's about the people you're leading, not about yourself. He put ego aside. He made it about our cost of living, our childcare, our public transit, and how if he wins, he's going to make it better for us. Every candidate could take their cues from him in how to make it personal and how to make it about the voter, not the leader themselves.
So, Sahil, on the other side of this, immediately questions have been raised about whether or not he's just going to be an effective target for the GOP. Way too liberal, socialist. What's been the reaction you're hearing from Republicans?
Yeah, Chris, I think time will tell the answer to that question, but Republicans are certainly eager in this moment to tie Zohran Mamdani to national Democrats. Take a look at this a quick statement from the House Republican campaign arm. Quote, the new face of the Democrat Party just dropped, and it's straight out of a socialist nightmare, unquote. But there is a larger story at play here, and it's a story for Democrats. It's not one about ideology or diversity or, I would say, even age. Democratic voters are eager for new blood. I think that's the message coming out of New York City. They're tired of this brand of overly scripted, focus grouped, and poll-tested politicians. We've seen surveys show that the party establishment is also discrediting itself with voters, which is the type of environment that allows someone like Zohran Mamdani to rise. Take a look at some recent polls. One from Reuters recently says, ask the question, are Democrats unsatisfied with current leadership? By a 49 to 41% margin, the voters said yes. Democrats said they're unsatisfied with their leaders. Also in that poll, should Democratic Party leaders be replaced? By a whopping margin of 62 to 24%, they said yes, Democratic leaders should be replaced. And by the way, this poll also found that Democratic voters think their own party leaders are too focused on certain cultural issues like trans rights, and they want more focus on things like affordability. What was Zohran Mamdani's main focus in New York City? Was affordability. It was making New York City affordable again. He did it in a way that was authentic to him. Whether or not you agree with his policies or his approach, it's a tactic, it's an approach we've seen other Democrats across the ideological spectrum, some who are more moderate than Zohran Mamdani, like Congressman Pat Ryan in suburban New York, use, like Senator now Ruben Gallego and Arizona use as well. There's another poll, Quinnipiac University, that found recently, or rather asked, do Democrats approve of the way their own leaders in Congress are handling the job? By a 12-point margin, they disapprove. So all of this, Chris, is a warning sign, and it's a wake-up call for Democrats that the same old style of politics is growing stale with their voters, and there is a real hunger for something different, anything different, a new vision.
Yeah, Amanda, it's an interesting point, though, that Sahil just makes about the difference between moderate versus progressive. And there is a concern by some Democrats, including some who are not fans of Cuomo, that this result will be overread. That Kamala Harris, for example, was seen as too liberal for middle America, that while Mamdani may appeal to New York City, that is not where a wide swath of America is. Do Democrats need to be careful about overreading this result?
I think being careful has gotten us into this mess in the first place. We need to embrace new kinds of candidates, new kinds of leaders who can talk about the problems that Americans are really experiencing. Things like the cost of housing, cost of childcare, cost of groceries. The affordability crisis is in every state and in every kind of community. Not every candidate is going to be able to talk about the issues in the same way that Zohran Mamdani was, because most candidates are not running for mayor of New York City. But all of them can connect it back to people's lives and can do it in a way that is genuine, interesting, compelling, and so clearly driven by a vision for the future, not about the past. And our older leaders just don't have that in them anymore.
Amanda Litman, Sahil Kapoor, this is going to be fascinating to watch play out. Thank you both. Now, tonight, Mamdani will sit down with my colleague, Jen Psaki. Catch that on The Briefing with Jen Psaki, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on MSNBC. And coming